All right, with this update video, we got Rocco here, of course. We're gonna be going over basically how I work him when we're going on our walks, right? So it's gonna look kind of like this, like in a POV type of thing, because I want to show you exactly how I handle him when he's walking. We're just gonna walk down the street and walk back. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna walk down there. He has to be in a loose leash walk, as well as be paying attention to his surroundings. So we don't want him just sniffing the ground. So that's the thing that he does, is he'll put his head down, he'll just start sniffing. So when he is sniffing like this right here, that's when he starts to pull. You see how he's kind of like starting to pull already? So the prong collar, just like that little bit of pressure I just put on him, I put that pressure on him with my little finger. It's just gonna bring him back with me. But I want you to really see just how the leash tightens, right? And then how I release it, right? So what I'm gonna be doing is when he's getting kind of out of position, it'll tighten or even flick like that. Then as soon as he stops, I'll turn the pressure off. Also, while we're walking, I want him to be paying attention to me. So I'm gonna be throwing in a couple commands. I'm throwing in some sits, some downs, and stuff like that, right? So when we start walking, he has to be in a certain position, right? So if I'm standing like this, I'll tell him, Rocco, let's go. He comes around to my left side and we're off, right? So this is the one thing where I'm glad he's doing this now, because he doesn't usually do this. He's on my right, right? So all I'm gonna do with him being on my right, which is the wrong side, I'll stop walking and I'll kind of bring him with my leash around back to my left side, right? And then he's on our left side again, give him his command, let's go. And we're off walking again. So this is kinda okay. The reason why I personally don't like it is because he's ahead of me. You see how far his body is ahead of my heels? So what I'll do is I'll take the leash and I'll flick it, right? He slows down, I stop flicking it, pressure turns off. He goes ahead, flick it. So this is the behavior that we don't want right here. We don't want the sniffing, because if you let him sniff, look, watch, not paying attention. So I stopped walking and he kept going because he's sniffing and not paying attention. So I gave him a little pop, brought him back to me. And then when I get myself situated, because recording and walking him is not easy, so I'll give him a couple flicks. He slows down. He's in the right here is the perfect position, right? So I'm gonna keep him tailored right there. Good boy, right? So every once in a while, when he gets a little too far ahead or he starts to sniff like that, I'll give him some flicks, right? I'll stop, flick him. Beautiful. I stop, he sits. So that's a click. Yeah, good boy. And reward. Good boy. Let's go. Nice. Good boy. So whenever you sit, so he's sniffing, whenever you stop walking, he should be going into an automatic sit, right? So if he doesn't, that means he's not paying attention and he's sniffing like this, right? So flicks, bring him back into position. So if I stop, that's not what we want. Let's go. So you doing all of this, perfect for the camera. Perfect, good boy, let's go. So a lot of times if he notices that I'm not really paying as much attention to him as I normally am, this is when you start to see these types of things. So I'll stop again. This time I'll put pressure on him. That'll stop him. That's not what I want. So I'm gonna put pressure straight up. That means sit. He does it. Click. Good boy. Oh, you know what that means though, huh? You know, click means food. Let's go. Good. Rocco, sit. Good boy. Down. Good. Working on some stays this week. So he got up before I told him to. Down. And I'll give him pressure. Back down. Nothing crazy. Just flicking the leash, making a noise really. Goes all the way down. It stops. He gets up. Back down. This is kind of the battle we've had, that he wants to stand up when I stand up. Now he's half standing up. So now I'm going to start giving him an actual correction, because now he's being defiant on purpose, right? Good. Quick. So the only difference between me giving him that regular pressure and a correction is that all it was just a little harder, right? So I was still flicking it the same way, is I put a little bit more muscle into it. So right here, he's out of position, but I also noticed I did not tell him his walk command. So I cannot give him any pressure if I didn't tell him what to do for. So it makes it unfair. So if I say, let's go, I'm gonna give him pressure because he should be in position when I say that, right? So now he's in obedience. At first, he's kind of in the free, because once you click, that means that they are free to do whatever they want. So I clicked, I just started walking. So he was allowed to go do whatever he wanted at that point. But now I tell him, let's go. He understands that now I have to work. So it's clock in, clock out type of thing. So a lot of times on these walks, we have like a stray dog thing, more of like a tiny stray dog thing. Never really dogs over like 20 pounds. So he's been having to get over the fact that he wants to be reactive to small dogs. So that's something we've had to work through. He's been doing pretty good. The first time he had a correction because he had like a meltdown because the lady walked by and with her dog and he wanted to bark. So he did get a pretty severe correction for that. But after that correction, he started to understand that he can't do that. Sit. So pressure straight up. He doesn't do it. Pressure, pressure, pressure. Pressure off when he sits, right? Good boy. Rocco, down. So he's ignoring me. So this is a correction, right? Because he very clearly heard me. Down. Good. So he's locked in on something that's over there across the street. So we don't go over there. So that's basically someone's front yard that he's locked into. There's probably a bird or a squirrel that he saw over there. And that's where you get that prey locking. And that's usually where you see him do some type of reacting. So when he looks like this, it just happens to be at another dog, that's when you'll give him NO, and then you'll give him a correction, which is pretty much just a harder way of giving him leash pressure on the prong, right? Let's go. Good boy. So whenever he locks in, ears up, tail kind of curled, then that's your prerequisite to let him know that, hey, knock it off. I know that you're locked in on something. Let's just go do something else, right? So what I do is, if a dog was coming out here and he locks onto him, 9 times out of 10 he will, I'll give him a correction and I'll turn around and walk the opposite way of where the dog is going, so it'll take his mind off of it. So if he turns around without a fight or without any type of conflict, he's rewarded for that. But if I have to drag him away from locking onto the dog, there's only a correction, right? Because you can't reward behaviors that you don't want. I rewarded the behavior that I do want, which is disengaging from the dog, following me, engaging with me. But if you want to fight me and go after the dog, you get a correction. Everything has to be fair, right? So a little further ahead of me, that's because I'm kind of rambling, but that's fine. We're not looking for competition style obedience or anything like that. So it's fine for him to be relaxed more at this pace, right? But if I slow down, he should slow down too. So I added a little leash pressure. Nothing wrong with that, right? So now I'm walking slowly. So now I have to keep him paying attention to me because he wants to go, right? There we go. Good. So no pressure there. And usually when I say good, I give him a couple pieces. That's why he looked up at me. But that's what we want, right? When we have a dog that's looking up at us, that means the dog is engaged with us. So I'm gonna let him go because I clicked. I didn't tell him to do anything. Recall, Rocco, come. Sit. Good. Close enough for me to touch his collar. Good. Click, reward. So the name of the game is that whenever you see something that you like, whenever you get something that you like from him, you always click to let him know that's exactly what you want. Let's go. Good boy. So those look backs is what I want. I want that engagement. But the fact that he has to look back at me means that he's not in position, right? So he should be a little right there. So more of looking up at me than looking back and up. But this is also his morning walk. So I'm kind of letting him hang out a little bit. Letting him sniff around. This is his first time, well, second time out of the crate. First time is out to use the restroom in the back. And then the second time is out in the front. Is usually when we do his first training session, right? So this is his first training session / morning walk. Good boy. So I don't want him sniffing too much because that's when you get that pulling and dragging from, right? So The reason why we don't necessarily like the harness is because the harness teaches them to pull, right? So there's no consequence for him pulling me when he's in the harness. That's why I like to use training tools like this. So his leg is stuck, we'll stop him, fix his leg. Rocco, let's go. So he was going to the wrong side. I stopped him, bring him around. And now we're pretty much all the way back to where we started, right? So it's not perfect. It's still a work in progress, but anytime you're working on, or anytime you're walking your dog, you should be active with your dog, right? It shouldn't be put your dog on a leash and then I sit on my phone while you walk yourself, because that's where we get those pulling behaviors. That's where we get the excessive sniffing. That's where we get, oh, a squirrel, I'm gonna drag you down the street to get to the squirrel, the dog, whatever, right? So I'm active in his walk, and he's not really used to that. So he's not used to the fact that he can't get away with the things that he's normally getting away with, like putting his nose down and trying to pull me, right? Because every time he does it, I see it, I'll correct him because I'm focused on him the entire time, right? So that's not necessarily a session. Pretty much what we'll do after that is work on his basic positions. So we do probably like 3 or 4 or 4 or 5 sits, some downs, some recalls. Pretty much everything that we did in the last week's update is what we'll do now, right? So I just wanted to make the update video so you can see him, right? Also, so you can see the part of me giving him direction while on a walk, right? Because it's a lot different than the normal basic obedience positions and stuff like that, because I have to actually show him, hey, slow down, speed up, stuff like that. It's almost like driving a stick shift. This leash, wherever I take it is where he has to go. So if, like I was showing you before, I want him to down, he doesn't down, so he's looking at the guy over there. Rocco, down. I told him he's locked in, right? So this right here, he's locked in on the guy. I take my leash, get his attention, down, right? So I'm not holding it hard. I'm literally holding it with 2 fingers, right? Good. So he's still a work in progress. He's not perfect by any means, and he probably won't be perfect by next week, but he'll be a lot better, right? Because in the first week, I couldn't even get him to lay down. But now he understands the leash pressure going down means down, and the same thing. So I don't even have to really tell him anything. I can give him pressure going straight up. Straight up. So a dog just walked by, so he's locked in on the dog. Now it means sit, right? So this is the dog ran out of the house down there next to where that red van is. So now he's locked in, right? This is perfect when he's locked in, and now he's not paying attention. When he's locked in like that, all we'll do is just, Rocco, come. Get his mind off of it, get him away from that situation, right? Instead of me using leash pressure, I'm able to make it more fun. Come, make it more fun, make him chase me, and give him a reward instead, right? So the only time I'll really give him any type of correction is if he outrate, like he's barking, he's lunging, anything like that, I'll know, boom, pop him on the leash, right? But if he's willing to just run up with me, I'll go, come, go, boy, let's go. If he's able to just engage with me, I'll take that over giving him a correction any day, right? Because the least conflict, the better. But yeah, that's his update. Any questions, please ask. Ooh, look at that sun on you.